Hello, I'm Adam from Ebuyer, and this is the £500 PC Gaming Build Challenge. Today, our goal is to build a fully capable gaming-grade PC for under £500. Let's get right into it. Starting off with the processor, I went with the Intel i5-10400. I originally intended to go Team Red, but I just couldn't pass up the value proposition Intel offers nowadays. This is a 6-core, 12-thread part, and most importantly, has integrated graphics. This is great if you're in between graphics cards and still want to use your PC. Next up is this Gigabyte motherboard. I went with Gigabyte for the ultra-durable reliability and feature-rich specifications. Interestingly, this is an 11th gen motherboard paired with a 10th gen processor. This allows you to go from a 10th gen i5 up to a 11th gen i7 for instance, to fully unlock the capabilities of this board. Next up is the Crucial Ballistics gaming memory kit. 16GB should be more than enough for modern AAA gaming, and rated at 3200 MHz, this is the ideal sweet spot between price and performance. I went with the Kingston A2000 NVMe drive over a conventional drive for its super fast speeds. With read and write speeds exceeding 2000 megabytes per second, this is more than enough for your gaming needs. For my build, I wanted maximum airflow, so I went with the Neutron Lab Galaxy case. With a full mesh front panel and 3 RGB fans included, this should provide plenty of airflow. I also wanted upgradability, and this is a full-size ATX case, so this should provide enough room for larger size graphics cards or larger motherboards. To power the whole system, I went with this Corsair power supply. I wanted it to match the case, so the RGB fans should tie it together nicely. It's a fully modular unit for future upgradability. The 80+ bronze rating guarantees reliability. With all the parts covered, let's get right into the build. To start, let's install the processor. Line up the triangle indicators on the CPU and CPU socket, then lower the CPU socket using the retention knob. On stock CPU coolers, the thermal paste is pre-applied, so simply line up and push the pegs through the mounting holes. For the RAM, pull back the clips on the socket, line up the notches and slide down. Apply an equal amount of pressure either side of the stick. You should hear an audible click to confirm it's installed. We're using an NVMe drive, so there's no power or data cables to worry about. Much like the RAM, line up the notches and slide into place. Tighten it down using the included motherboard screw. Don't forget the I/O shield before installing the motherboard. It's a bit fiddly, but it clips in corner by corner at the rear of the case. With the case lying down flat for easier installation, you'll then want to lower the motherboard in. Use the I/O shield as a handy guideline. With the included case screws, safely secure the motherboard through the standoff holes. Before we install the GPU, remove any PCIe covers in the way. For us, that's the top 2 slots. With the PCIe socket clip pushed back, slide the GPU in and apply a bit of force until you feel a click. Screw down the GPU bracket for support. Now, we just need to power up the components. Plug in the 24-pin motherboard cable, 8-pin CPU cable, and SATA cable before sliding in the power supply to the bottom of the case. Secure it in place with the included case screws. The thin SATA connector goes in the RGB controller, the chunky 24-pin in the top right of the motherboard, and the 8-pin in the top left. USB is another fairly chunky connector, plugging in the middle right. Lastly, we've got all the additional cables. Fortunately, their connectors are finely printed on the motherboard itself for guidance. With the PC built, fingers crossed it turns on first time. And here we go. Would you look at that? Look at those massive RGB fans spring to life. We got the CPU fan spinning. We got a bit of RGB peeking through from the bottom from the power supply. It's really well built. And that's the £500 build challenge complete. If you'd like to build this for yourself, check out the links in the description below for all the relevant parts. Thanks again and see you next time.